1983 was supposed to be the year pop music went fully immortal. MTV was breaking new faces every week, radio was still king, and every label was hunting for the next big thing. But here's the part nobody talks about. For every act that got pushed into the spotlight and never left, there were bands that had the songs, had the look, even had real chart action, and then they just vanished from mainstream memory. No greatest hits rotation, no classic radio slot, no comeback tour circuit, nothing. That's what we're fixing today. This is not a nostalgia list. This is a little bit of justice, because in 1983, you had bands dropping perfect singles, smart writing, big emotion, hooks that should have lived forever, and somehow they still got filed under one-off, novelty, or, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. Meanwhile, yeah, those same songs were actually climbing the charts, getting played on TV, getting real fans. They were not jokes, they were contenders. So here's the question I want you to answer in the comments by the end of this video. Was it bad timing? Bad marketing? Or were some of these bands just too honest, too weird, or too ahead of the sound? In this countdown, we're going to walk back into 1983 and pull up 12 pop acts who deserved way more love than they ever got. From glossy Glasgow heartbreak to art school new wave weirdness to big chorus radio pop that should have made these people household names. We're breaking them into two tiers, 12 to 7. Why weren't these bigger? These are the groups where you hear one track and immediately go, wait, how did that not lock them in for life? And then 6 to 1, these should have been long-term chart names. These are the ones that honestly could have sat next to the big 80s legends if just one thing went differently. We'll give you the song, the moment, and what went wrong. And I want you to listen with your actual ears, not with 2020's music snob brain. Ask yourself, if this came out today, would it blow up on TikTok? Or did we just sleep on them in 83? Because by the end of this video, you're going to have at least 3 new favorite bands you did not expect. And you're going to wonder why nobody told you sooner. Let's start at number 12. Kissing the Pink were not built to be normal pop. This was art school, experimental, almost theatrical synth pop, horn stabs, weird spoken parts, emotional drama, the kind of track that felt like you were watching a strange short film at 2 a.m. when you were a kid and you weren't sure if you should even be seeing it. The last film was their moment. It wasn't underground. It actually broke into the UK top 20 and peaked at Ulster 19 on the singles chart in 1983, which made it their only real mainstream hit in the UK. Here's why that matters. In 1983, the charts were crowded with clean, glossy acts built for MTV rotation. These guys came in with a song about fantasy, war imagery, memory, and loss. Not Baby I Love You, more like the world feels damaged and I'm trying to process it. For synth pop, that was heavy. They should have been grouped with the serious pop names of the era, people like Tears for Fears, who also wrote about emotional panic and trauma, but instead, Kissing the Pink got tagged as a weird one-off, and the label never turned that first breakthrough into a long-term lane. Question for you, do you feel like pop today still allows weird but emotional to break through, or does everything get smoothed out by the algorithm before we even hear it?
Hey, Pop Lore family. Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps Pop Lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
H2O were a Scottish band chasing that smooth, romantic, early 80s synth pop sound, clean keyboards, dramatic vocals, big feelings. Dream to Sleep is one of those songs that sounds like walking home at night in the rain with neon lights reflecting in the puddles. And here's the part people forget. This wasn't some tiny cult single.
I dream to sleep.
Dream to Sleep made it all the way to 17 on the UK singles chart in June 1983. They even got national TV looks, which in 83 was everything. If you got played on big UK music shows, the country saw your face. That's reach. So why didn't they last? A lot of bands in 83 were fighting for the exact same lane. Stylish, emotional male vocal over glossy synth production. Think of how crowded that space was. Spandau Ballet, Duran Duran, Tears for Fears, ABC, H2O had the song.
I dream to sleep.
But they didn't get the long runway those bigger label darlings got. After Dream to Sleep, they never found a follow-up single that hit that same emotional sweet spot with the same chart power.
Reshape my future and I'll never be the same.
Here's something to think about. In every era, there's one band that does the sound and one band that pays for doing the sound a year too late. Do you think H2O were just 1 year late? This one is pure summer memory. The first picture of you sounds warm, hopeful, almost like a postcard from the first week you ever felt in love. It was the debut single from Liverpool band the Lotus Eaters, released June 1983, and it hit note 15 in the UK that August.
The call for sacred hours.
Here's why people who know 1983 pop get protective over this band. The song wasn't just catchy, it felt emotionally safe. While a lot of early 80s new wave was cold and stylish, this song felt open, honest, kind. You can hear that young and not yet hurt feeling in Peter Coyle's voice, but being gentle in 1983 was risky. MTV and press liked extremes, edgy fashion, neon attitude, scandal, drama. The Lotus Eaters were offering sincerity and melody. That's harder to market than eyeliner and leather. Also, when your first single is that strong,
The magic force of your feelings.
labels expect you to repeat magic on command. Most bands can't. The first picture of you became their signature, and in a way it trapped them. Let me ask you this, in pop, is it better to be known forever for one perfect song or to have 5 kinda good hits people barely remember? Now we're moving into drama. The Icicle Works were from Liverpool too, but their energy was different. Widescreen, emotional, big sky, big heart. Love is a wonderful color is not shy. The vocal is desperate and huge. The guitars feel like they're trying to reach the horizon. The single came out in late 1983 and became their biggest hit, reaching 15 on the UK singles chart. Here's what's wild. This should have set them up to be one of those anthem bands of the mid-80s. You can hear the DNA of what bands like Simple Minds and U2 would take stadium big, but Icicle Works never crossed into that next level in the US the way U2 did, and in the UK they never pushed past that first breakthrough. Part of the problem, timing. By 1984, the charts were getting shinier, more electronic, more dance-led. The guitars had to either go super new wave quirky or full stadium rock. Icicle Works were in between, too heartfelt for the fashion kids, too poetic for straight rock radio. Do you think a song like this could still break on streaming now, or is it too big, too earnest for the short attention era? Roman Holliday came in with something totally different for 1983, pop with jump, swing, horns, almost a 1950s dance party energy, but done with new wave bounce. Don't Try to Stop It, released June 10th, 1983, was their breakthrough, and it hit Noah's 14 in the UK. It also crossed over to the US later that year and scraped the Hot 100, peaking at new 68.
I changed my shirt today. I
You have to respect how bold that is. In a world of synth pads and eyeliner, these guys are basically running a horn section at you like it's a street parade. Here's the downside. Being retro fun is a double-edged sword in pop. The industry loves you for one single because you feel fresh in the moment, and then they drop you because they think your sound is a gimmick. After Don't Try to Stop It, Roman Holliday never again touched that level of UK success. Their next single, Motor Mania, only got to 40 in the UK. So here's my question to you. Is it better to have a big quirky hit that everyone remembers, or play it safe and disappear quietly? Which career would you pick if it was you? Flash of color or slow burn? The Maisonettes came out of Birmingham with a totally different approach. Not futuristic, not glossy, throwback. Heartache Avenue sounds like someone took Motown girl group Sadness, ran it through early 80s UK pop brains, and made Heartbreak feel catchy, almost cheeky. And this record was not small. Heartache Avenue reached number 7 on the UK singles chart, went top 10 nationally, and sat in rotation through late 82 into early 83. It even hit number 1 on the UK independent chart and later charted in places like Canada. So why aren't they on every best of the 80s playlist today? Because the industry basically sold them as a story, not a band. The single was built in the studio first with session singers, and then the group you saw on TV was partly assembled after the song was already taking off. That kind of packaging makes labels think, cool, we can repeat the trick, but it also makes the audience feel like it's not 100% real. When the follow-ups didn't hit as hard, radio moved on.
This video is sponsored by the Lore Store on Amazon, your one-stop shop for music lovers across reggae, rock, pop, and hip-hop. We built it for real listeners who don't want to dig through 1,000 listings to find the right gear. Inside the Lore Store, you'll find 5 aisles. VIP, top, battle-tested essentials, headphones, turntables, speakers, gig-safe earplugs, smart speakers. Reggae vibe, roots and lovers. Rock made easy, automatic decks, warm bookshelf speakers, vinyl care. Rock lore, classic rock must-haves, open back cans, simple amps, living room concert vibes. Pop lore, feel-good everyday setups, clean, clear speakers, easy streaming, nostalgia-friendly picks. Hip-hop must-haves, punchy bass without the muddle, closed-back headphones and living room systems that handle low-end. Plus a rotating crate of old album vinyl if you're rebuilding a 60s-90s collection. Every product page tells you who it's for, 3 pros, 1 con, and why we picked it. So you can choose with confidence. Flying soon? Check. VIP for noise canceling that tames plane roar. Mostly listening at home? Try open back headphones that let live albums breathe. Want instant gratification vinyl? Our fully automatic turntable is 1 button from silence to music. And the record cleaning kit knocks down crackle so the bass tightens up. Headed to shows? Grab high-fidelity earplugs. Hands-free at home? Our smart speaker picks let you say, play 70s reggae or classic pop, and you're there. Deal alert. If you use the link in the description, you'll land on our curated picks with current best available Amazon pricing and active discounts where applicable. Prices change, so buy now to lock in today's deal. Tap the link in the description, pick your aisle, grab a favorite, and tell me which category you want me to build next. The Lore Store. Listen better, with gear that gets out of the way and lets the music live.
Joe Boxer sounded like Trouble in a good way. They weren't glossy synth-pop kids. They had a street energy, a mix of soul, pop, pub rock attitude, and that early 80s working-class toughness. Just Got Lucky is the sweet version of that. It's upbeat, it swings, it feels like you just talked your way into a good night. This wasn't some tiny cult single. Just Just Got Lucky hit the UK Top 10, peaking at number 7 in 1983. It also crossed the Atlantic and got into the US Billboard Hot 100, reaching No. 36, which is not normal for a new British band with that kind of rough around the edges look. It even went top 30 in Australia. So why aren't Joe Boxers mentioned in every Best of the 80s playlist? Two things happened. First, the band had another UK hit right before this called Boxer Beat, which went to number 3 in the UK. And that gave people a clear image of them, almost like a theme band, almost like a character act. Labels love that, but it can trap you. Second, the US never fully adopted their style long term. America in late '83 was moving hard toward either super polished pop or super big rock. Joe Boxers had too much swagger to be clean pop and too much swing to be rock. They fell right in the crack. Here's the question. If Just Got Lucky dropped today with that bounce and that hook, does it go viral as a feel-good throwback, or do people just call it cheesy 80s movie music and scroll? Be honest.
Guess it's all such a shame.
This one is special because it should have created a supergroup. The Assembly was basically a project built around Vince Clarke, the synth-pop writer and producer who had already helped start Depeche Mode and Yazoo, teaming up with Feargal Sharkey, the voice from the Undertones, a guy known at that point for punk new wave tension, not smooth pop ballads.
It never happens to me. It's the way my life was meant to be.
Never Never was the only single they ever released under that name, and still, with just one shot, they landed huge. Never Never went to number 4 on the UK singles chart in late 1983 and stayed on the chart for 10 weeks. Listen to Sharkey's vocal on this track. It's not angry, not sneering. It's fragile, it's almost begging. That contrast, punk singer over heartbreak synth, is what made people stop and pay attention. So why didn't the Assembly become a long-term act?
It was meant to be. It never happens to me. It never happens.
Because the whole point of the Assembly was create different songs with different singers, not form a normal band. It was built like a studio lab, not a touring act. That sounds cool on paper, but pop fans bond with faces. You can't build a loyal fan base if the band is basically a concept.
It never happens to me. It's the way my life was meant to be.
Real talk for you, would you still emotionally attach to a band today if you knew the lineup might change every song, or do you need personalities you can follow? Now we're in neon territory. Reflex were a British new wave synth-pop group who came in with a very sleek, club-friendly sound. The Politics of Dancing was their debut single, first released in 1983. It's all pulse and motion, drum machines, synth bass, big chant hook. Here's what's crazy. This track didn't just sit in the UK underground. It became an international hit.
The politics of feeling good.
The Politics of Dancing eventually climbed to 128 in the UK, hit to 24 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and went as high as number 8 on the US dance chart. That means American radio, which did not always love UK synth acts unless you were already huge, actually let this through. That's not nothing. Reflex had the sound that would totally fit in playlists today next to retro wave.
When they start to play, you gotta get out the way.
Synthwave, all that 80s night drive stuff, so why didn't they keep climbing? Timing and label support. Their full album, The Politics of Dancing, produced by John Punter, who'd worked with Roxy Music, dropped in late 1983 on EMI. It did okay, but didn't explode, and internal label issues kept them from really following up. In a way that kept them in people's faces. Here's a good debate. Do you count Reflex as one-hit wonders, or do you think one global club anthem that still gets referenced 40 years later is actually legacy?
Feels like heaven.
This is one of the purest sad romantic 80s singles ever recorded. Fiction Factory were a Scottish new wave band from Perth. They formed in 1982 out of members who'd previously been in a ska outfit called the Rude Boys. Their style moved toward emotional synth-pop, calm vocals, floating keys, lyrics that feel like someone confessing something they're scared to say out loud.
Bones until they snap. I scream with no.
Feels Like Heaven was released at the end of 1983 and became their signature. It reached number 6 on the UK singles chart, and it didn't stop there. It also hit major positions across Europe, including top 10 in places like Germany, Ireland, and Switzerland, where it went all the way to number 2. That's not just a UK cult thing, that's an international pop moment. Here's the Heartbreak. Almost nothing after that matched it. The follow-up single, Ghost of Love, barely scratched the UK charts, and the album Throw the Warped Wheel Out in 1984 pulled some attention but couldn't repeat.
I scream but no one knows. Say I'm familiar.
The single's success at home. So Fiction Factory get remembered as the Feels Like Heaven band. But ask yourself this, is it really fair to call them a one-hit act when that one song still shows up in movies, 80s playlists, wedding slow dances, and nostalgia radio? How many artists today would kill for one song that refuses to die? This is the part of the countdown where we talk about raw talent. Carmel were a trio from Manchester, singer Carmel McCourt, bassist Jim Paris, and drummer percussionist Jerry Darby. Their sound was not typical 1983 pop at all. It was jazzy, soulful, almost smoky, upright bass feel, live drum energy, and a vocal that could go from smooth to full-on gospel attack in one line. Bad Day was their breakout single. It climbed into the UK Top 20 in 1983, peaking at Billboard 15 on the UK singles chart in late summer, early autumn. That is insane when you think about it. At a time when the charts were ruled by synths, drum machines, and bright pop polish, a minimal jazz-influenced track with live-feeling intensity still muscled its way to national radio and a top 20 position, and they weren't a fluke. The next single, More, also made the UK Top 25, and their album, The Drum Is Everything, produced by Mike Thorne, got serious respect.
You hot as gold, this world keeps going on.
So why didn't Carmel become an 80s household name like Sade later did? Part of it is timing and marketing. They were doing adult soul-rooted music before labels had fully figured out how to sell that as pop cool. They were early. Sometimes being first means you don't get credit. The next wave gets the spotlight. Serious question for you. If Carmel dropped Bad Day today, would people call it neo-soul, playlist it, and make it viral? Or would TikTok ignore it because it isn't built for 10-second clips?
Hey, Pop Lore family. Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps Pop Lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
Right now, just as long as I'm with you.
This is the one where you say, how is this not huge forever? The Creatures were Susie Sue and Budgie, basically a side project of Susie, and the Banshees, stripped down to just voice and percussion at first, then later opening up into exotic, jazzy, brassy textures. They formed in 1981 and released their first full-length album, Feast, in 1983. Right now, Now, was their surprise pop strike that same year? It's actually a cover of an early 60s song that they rebuilt with bold horns and attitude. That move paid off. Right Now became their biggest hit, reaching the UK Top 20 and peaking at number 14 on the UK singles chart in August 1983. You've got to hear this to get it. It's not post-punk gloom. It's sharp, stylish, loud.
Desire right now. Let the world break into.
Confident. Susie is in full star mode, but instead of cold art rock, she's giving nightclub glamour. It proved she wasn't just darkness and edge. She could do straight-up punchy pop and still sound dangerous. Why didn't that turn the Creatures into a long-term mainstream pop act?
The world break into right now. Stars can tell me.
Because the Creatures were never trying to live inside pop radio. This was a side path, not the main road. After Right Now, they stepped away from that lane for years. They were more interested in being creatively free than being permanent chart fixtures. So here's the last question for you, and this is important for the comments.
Right now. For a ride to outer space.
Which is better, to chase charts and maybe water yourself down, or to drop one perfect single that proves you could take over pop anytime you feel like it? The journey doesn't end here, pop lovers. Watch this next.